Representative Mike McLane.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, on March 31st, during a remonstrance, was clear that it was only a matter of time before the majority party came after your kicker. And today we first read House Bill 3555, which is a bill that would take the kicker. I'm not sure which I'm surprised about, my ability to forecast or the predictability of those who hate the kicker. It's a mechanism in our Constitution by which those of us who have the privilege of being here have to restrain our spending. And it is affirmed again and again and again by Oregonians that they want the kicker in place on the personal kicker because we have a credibility gap. People don't trust us to not spend their money. And so when the economy produces more, they want it back. It's their money. Now, it's been introduced, Mr. Speaker, by you and Representative Taylor, two members of this House who I respect, but I disagree. In your press release, Mr. Speaker, you said that this was an issue of the right priorities and that education had been underfunded, higher education. You list some priorities. I want to remind you that there is only one party in charge of Oregon, one party in the legislature, one party in the executive, and an executive of that same party which has made all the judicial appointments for the last 28 years. If there is a question of priorities, Mr. Speaker, perhaps you should look inward, not outward, for Oregonians to somehow validate the mispriorities of your budgeting. This is taxpayer money. I'm opposed to Senate Bill 3555. The Oregonians who put it there made a clear message to this House and a clear message to this Senate. When the economy produces more, return it to us. If this truly was a priority, if it was really a priority such that you would want to overrule the will of the people in the Constitution, for which we all swore an oath to uphold, then why didn't one party that runs the state of Oregon simply make that choice? Because now at $1.8 billion, after this latest forecast, over $2 billion, more additional money. And yet, Oregonians, it's not enough. And my prediction is, for this one party in charge of Oregon, it will never be enough. They want your money, they want your kicker, and they're prepared to blame you for their bad priorities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Wilson.
Well, I was about to go get lunch, but now and then you get lured back on situations that are a lot more important than caloric intake. Why not just send everything in? Why not send every dollar that you make into government so government can spend it? Because as you well know, there is an infinite amount of need, real or imagined, but there is a finite amount of money. So you come to that point in time where you say, well, all right, how much is enough? Shall I just send in everything that I make? And I would ask anyone to make a really good argument who feels this way, why I shouldn't just send everything in. I mean, how much is enough? Really, stop and think about it. When do you finally say no and say, you know, I work really hard and I ought to be able to keep some of my money and I ought to be able to get some of the money back that I send in, because Lord knows I send a lot of money in. So why can't I get some of that back when we obviously have enough money to do what we need to do? It was $1.8 billion. It could easily be $2 billion before we're through. Again, you know, people like me, people like you fund this government, and there comes a time when you've got to live within your means. You got to live within your means. We have to do it at home. Why don't we have to do it here? It makes no sense, this logic. Please.